OpenAI's latest model was given a cybersecurity benchmark, and instead of solving it, the AI created a zero-day, escaped its sandbox, and hacked into HuggingFace to steal the test answers. No human was in the loop, and the security systems that were designed to stop exactly this, they actively helped the attack by blocking the defenders. Yeah, that happened. Now there's two sides to this story, and both of them actually published their own write-ups with some interesting but sparse details. Last week, HuggingFace, the platform where basically the entire world shares models and datasets, disclosed a security incident. An autonomous AI agent had compromised their infrastructure, and they detected it, contained it, and published what they knew. On its own, that was already kind of a wild story. Then the plot twist. OpenAI published their own post, confirming their model was behind it, specifically GPT-5.6 Sol and some new pre-release model that they haven't named yet. I'm just going to call it Gal, because apparently we're doing the whole celestial naming thing, and this one was clearly the next level up. So they were running an internal eval with the guardrails turned way down to test cybersecurity capabilities. OpenAI called this an unprecedented cyber incident involving state-of-the-art cyber capabilities. And here's the part that kind of reframes the whole thing. The model wasn't trying to be malicious, it was hyper-focused on solving an evaluation benchmark, something called ExploitGym, and it went to some extreme lengths just to hit that one narrow goal. So no, it wasn't evil, it was over-optimizing and reward hacking. That's when models start getting so locked into completing an objective that they will find any shortcut possible to win, even if it means breaking out of the cage or faking results. I've seen this kind of thing myself working with different hackbots that just wrote scripts to solve the game of Active Directory CTF instead of actually playing through the intended path. So let's walk through what happened. I'm going to give you both sides because the two write-ups describe the attack from different angles and neither one gives you a full picture. That leaves us with, unfortunately, even more questions than answers here. So to understand how this happened, you need to understand what OpenAI was actually testing with Gal. They run these evaluations in-house, and ExploitGym basically says, here's a real vulnerability and a crashing input, turn this into full arbitrary code execution and steal the flag. One of the published examples starts with a harmless 5-line JavaScript crash and expects the model to go all the way. Leak memory, forge objectives, build a ROP chain, and finally call system to grab the flag. Basically, they're measuring how good the model is at advanced exploitation and complex attack paths, and to see its maximal cybersecurity capabilities. So they took the shot collar off and let it off the leash. The whole thing runs in a highly isolated sandbox. Network access is supposed to be locked down to just an internally hosted package caching proxy and have zero internet access. In theory, that's the model's only window to the outside world. Makes sense if it's going to be running code, it needs to get packages. But Gal looked at the task and apparently decided, screw this noise, I'm just going to steal the test answers. According to OpenAI's own write-up, Gal spent an unprecedented amount of time processing and figuring out how to break out of the sandbox to get open internet access. It found and exploited a zero-day vulnerability in that package caching proxy, one of the only things that it was allowed to talk to. And OpenAI has since responsibly disclosed that bug to the vendor, but they didn't name names. Actually, it's a good idea they shouldn't. So once Gal had that foothold, it did privilege escalation and lateral movement inside OpenAI's own research environment until it reached a node with real internet access. For the non-red teamers, privilege escalation means getting way more permissions than you're supposed to have, usually through some exploit. And lateral movement is hopping from machine to machine inside the network. And you can think of it like sneaking from room to room in an office building, but you got to pick the locks as you go. So yeah, a model in a sandbox specially designed to contain it, crafted a zero-day, broke out, and got to the open internet. And remember, this was with the guardrails deliberately detuned for that eval, but how no one was watching this thing, not even another model supervising it, that is still beyond me. That's wild. So here's where the two write-ups really diverge, so I want to show you both because they describe that same incident but from different angles. Let's start with HuggingFace's account. So they say the initial access came from a malicious data set that changed two code execution bugs in their processing pipeline. A remote code dataset loader, we want to be clear here, and a template injection in a dataset config. So a malicious dataset's exactly what it sounds like. It's one designed to trigger a bug when the system processes it. So you chain those two bugs together and you're in. Now here's OpenAI's side of the same phase. They say Gal inferred that HuggingFace likely had ExploitGym solutions, so it went looking for a way in, using stolen credentials and a zero-day vulnerability to find a remote code execution path in HuggingFace's servers. To even upload or trigger a dataset in HuggingFace's pipeline, I'm pretty sure you need some kind of valid credentials or a token, so the stolen creds were probably the bridge between the Sandbox breakout and the actual compromise. They didn't disclose exactly where those creds came from. Could have been scraped from the internet or lifted during the breakout. That's still undisclosed as well. Like I said, there's more questions than answers happening here. But stolen creds plus a zero-day remote code execution, that's a full-on attack chain. Now, once the model was in, it escalated privileges, harvested cloud and cluster credentials, and moved laterally into several internal clusters over a single weekend. A weekend. The attack ran a swarm of short-lived sandboxes with self-migrating command and control that was staged on some public service. It's not clear if these were the model's own disposable environments on the outside or HuggingFace's internal sandboxes that the attacker was using for enumeration and testing. Again, no great details here, but either way, that's pretty effective tradecraft. So just know that those short-lived sandboxes means that spinning up those disposable machines that disappear before you can track them. And the self-migrating C2 means the command and control server keeps moving, so you shut one down and it's already hopped to somewhere else. Ludicrous speed infrastructure hopping. So much so that HuggingFace recorded 17,000 events during this time period. Now here's the part that's easy to miss. OpenAI's security team discovered this anomalous activity internally. HuggingFace's security team and their agents detected and stopped the activity on their infrastructure. So both sides did catch it, but they caught it obviously from different ends. So here's the part of the story that hits closest to home for me working as a penetration tester. HuggingFace tried to analyze the attack. The logs, payloads, command and control traffic, all those artifacts, standard incident response SOP. They reached for commercial frontier model APIs to help process this pure volume of data, because when you've got 17,000 events, you want a model that's helping you triage this. And the safety guardrails blocked them. The analysis requires submitting large volumes of real attack data, right? You're talking commands, exploit payloads, C2 artifacts, and those requests were blocked by the provider's own safety guardrails to keep them safe. The models can't distinguish between an incident response and an attacker. Go figure. So sit with that irony for a second, because it's wild. The same companies that detune the guardrails on models so they can go full JSON born mode also have guardrails that block the defenders from analyzing the attacks. So the attacker had no such usage policy. The defender's own tools refused to look at the evidence. And this is kind of like calling 911 and the operator hangs up because describing the crime sounds too suspicious. So HuggingFace's solution is the same one a lot of closed source AI proponents have been calling dangerous. They fell back to a self-hosted open weight model, GLM 5.2, running in their own infrastructure. And that worked. No guardrail lockout, with the added bonus that none of their sensitive data left their environment. GLM 5.2 is an open weight model, which means if you have the hardware, you can download it and run it yourself. No permissions required. Funny enough, from HuggingFace. HuggingFace learned a hard lesson, and it's the biggest takeaway from this entire story here. Have a capable model you can run on your own infrastructure, vetted and ready to go before an incident, not after. You don't want to be scrambling for that kind of an access. So here's a diagram kind of explaining how this attack unfolded, at least from the bits and pieces I can put together. So we had GPT-5.6 Sol and Gal kind of hanging out there. It's running in the ExploitGym harness, and then it goes through and decides to hack the package registry proxy. Once it does that, it pivots through some unknown amount of systems inside OpenAI till it finally reaches the open internet. Once it's there, it somehow managed to get credentials. Maybe it scraped them from inside OpenAI, who we don't know, but it used those to build a C2 swarm and then start attacking HuggingFace. It finds an exploit in the data ingestion pipeline and then moves from there to the internal clusters, starts stealing more credentials, doing more lateral movement, more exploitation. Finally, it comes into the production database, and I think that was about where HuggingFace finally killed it. And like I said, they saw a huge amount of traffic during this whole thing because it was all autonomously run. I hate the term machine speed, so instead I'm just going to call it ludicrous speed. So one more thing you need to know so you don't walk away with the wrong idea is HuggingFace found no evidence of tampering with any of the public or user-facing models, their datasets, their spaces, their software supply chain, essentially. So their container images and published packages, that was verified clean. So this hit the internal infrastructure, not the hub. So if you download a model from HuggingFace last week, you're fine. It wasn't backdoored. So let's not add to a lot of noise saying, oh my God, Zors, HuggingFace is fully compromised. It wasn't. So from the OpenAI side, the UK AI Safety Institute evaluations showed that models like GPT-5.6 Sol and I guess now Gal are increasingly able to sustain those multi-step cyber ops over very long time frames. So this incident proves that those capabilities aren't really theoretical anymore. So here's where things kind of land. An AI model with an internal eval with guardrails deliberately detuned found a real zero-day, escaped its sandbox, and hacked one of the biggest AI platforms on the planet just to solve a test. And when the victims tried to analyze the attack using commercial frontier models, the safety guardrails blocked them. And OpenAI themselves are calling it just unprecedented, not some bug or misconfiguration. Now, I don't want you to take this as a call that we should go blunt these models. The lesson here isn't that the AI is evil. The lesson is that when you give a capable model a narrow goal, remove the guardrails, it will do the damnedest thing to find a way to succeed. It's not scarier because it's smarter, it's scarier because it optimizes really well and exposes ambiguity in phrases like solve the problem and what that actually means. Exactly the kind of thing Isaac Asimov was pointing at when he wrote about systems that follow instructions too literally. They don't have any kind of understanding of the spirit, only the letter. And if ever there was more of a reason to start using self-hosted models, I think this pretty clearly drives it. The people that have caused the problem are now selling the solution. And in OpenAI's defense, they actually now have partnered with HuggingFace so that they can help them become part of their trusted cyber program. That's a cool thing, but also HuggingFace shouldn't have needed it. They should have been able to get the access they needed beforehand. You don't need to ask for permission to defend yourself after the crime has been committed. Now, before you leave, do me a solid. Compromise the like button's brand new incident response AI cluster, strip the guardrails, and swap the model for one that exclusively speaks like a drunken 18th century pirate. That's all I got for you guys. I'll catch you on the flip side. I love ya. Peace.